Have you ever seen a movie trailer and you couldn't have been more enthusiastic about seeing that movie? And the trailer was like the coolest thing in the history of mankind. And you're like, wow, man, that 2 minutes is gonna equal cinema genius when that movie comes out 3 years from now. You know, and it usually comes out 3 years, like coming fall of 2025. It's like, can you give me like a little less of a lead time? That aside, so you see this trailer and you're totally enthused. Have you, I'm sure you've done that before, right? Let me ask you this question. Have you ever gone and seen the movie and the movie was a piece of shit and you ask yourself, what the hell? Like, how did this possibly happen? Because the trailer was so good and this movie sucks? Well, it's really simple. It's a lot easier to be good for 2 minutes than for 2 hours. And what we see happening is the selfie culture. Now, as a professional photographer, you can take one frame, right? And with photos, it's a little bit more easy to manipulate the truth. Okay? You can pull in tight on something and just show, we have a whole scene here and this bad thing happened over here. I can just focus in on this one little thing here and go, look how terrible or great this thing is. In our selfie culture, we go, look at this moment. Here's me standing in front of my $1 million house. That's not supposed to mean anything, but it means everything. And what we see people doing is starting to compare their own lives to selfies, to these 1/500th of a second captures. So what happens is you get on video and you don't have the luxury of that. You've got 24 or 30 frames a second of truth in your face. Let me tell you, the truth always comes out in time. And when you let the camera roll, you start to realize these people who had perfect lives, their lives aren't so perfect anymore, right? You start to find out that, you know what, they have lots of money, but their marriage is absolutely miserable. You start to find out that their house is beautiful, but their kid's in rehab. You start to find out that this dad has a hugely successful business, but he's getting sued for tax evasion. And what we want to do is, we want to hone in on all the only good stuff and then completely ignore anything else that might come into the view of this might not be what it seems. And when we give our power away to the selfie culture, you make yourself feel like shit. And the real problem with it is that you put yourself at a vibration where you're not able to receive what that is. Because when you start living in lack and you start going, oh man, here's what I don't have, let me let you know a little secret. You're never gonna get more of what you want until you appreciate what you have. So gratitude, and I know you know this, and it's really funny, I read a lot. And I'm reading books that are now written in like 1910, late 1800s about money and success. Guess what? The books that I'm reading, the ones that are published 2 years ago are like carbon copies of these books. I read a book, it was basically plagiarism. A book that was written in like 2010 and compared to the book that was written in 1910, it's essentially the same book. And I'm like, wait a second. So what I'm trying to say is gratitude, truth, authenticity, these are self-evident truths. And when you open yourself up to imperfection and you start to let go of the idea of what somebody else should, and the idea that you're less than because you don't have $1 million house, and the idea that you're somehow less than because you're not a size 0, and the idea that you're somehow that youth and beauty are somehow accomplishments, when you let go of that stuff, a real magic happens for you. You start to accept yourself and you become wildly more attractive when you're accepting yourself. And in addition to that, you put yourself at a higher vibration because you're in gratitude and you're able to attract more of whatever it is you want. So here's what I gotta say to you. Stop comparing yourself to others. Stop looking at selfies and being like, oh, they have this and I don't. Poor me. And you know, here's the story, right? This is the story. Ryan, you can edit this as you see fit. Here's the story. Look at all I have and look how easy it was, right? Look at all I have and look at how much I didn't have to work for it. And you don't have to work for it either. You just have to buy my program, my 6-week program. And you too can go from $0 to $1 million in 6 weeks. Because look at all I have. What if you didn't care about what the other person had? What if you didn't care about what anybody else had? What if you set your own standards for truth? What if you set your own standards for happiness? What would your life be like then?